Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. My name is Yarron, and I'm here with our co-host Gabriel. And for today's topic, we're going to be talking about failure. And yeah, so we're going to start with like our early life and how we dealt with failure early on. So do you want to start with that?
Yeah. So, um, basically, as you guys know, in my early life, I want to become a soccer player, right? So, here's the thing. I didn't really cope with failure the best when I was younger, at all. Um, you know, I'd work so hard on my spare time, and then when I got into tournaments and things like that, I was mad that we won, actually, because I personally felt that I basically failed within myself. Like, I didn't feel like I did a good enough job for the team, and I didn't contribute as much as I thought I should have contributed to the team. And honestly, that was just me being selfish in that sense, you know? And yeah, I basically didn't handle failure the best when I was younger, but after every failure, I kind of knew um, it would always stick in this back of my brain that I have to find something out of this failure. You have to learn from this failure. I have to look on the bright side of these failures. And honestly, I want to tell a bit of story. So my team was in the final for a tournament. It went to penalty shootouts, and I was the last person to kick. Basically, if I scored, we won. If I missed, then, they would have another chance to win. And I step up to the penalty spot. I kick the ball, and it goes way high over the bar. And as soon as I missed, I felt like this gut-wrenching feeling that, like, shit, I just lost the tournament for my team.
Yeah.
And that experience, like, I would get teased for it during practices in the next seasons. It sucked because we could have won, and I just messed up and we lost. But, I was kind of down on myself, and I'm very hard on myself when it comes to failing and not living up to my own expectations that I have for myself. But after that season, I vowed to never miss another penalty in my life because I don't want that same experience and that same failure ever again,
Yeah.
So from that point on, I actually practice penalties every day after practice. I would
Right.
like get my friends to yell at me and call me names while I was kicking the ball to simulate like a real game. I would try to get them to mess me up and everything,
Right.
and I just kept shooting and just focusing on placement of the ball, and not worrying about anything else but scoring.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then I never missed another penalty ever. So that was how I cope with failure. It wasn't the best, in terms of me being hard on myself because I'm human, but that's basically how I dealt with them in the past.
And for me, the way I kind of started, or way I sort of early stages of like learning what failure was, started when I started quitting all these like extracurriculars that I started doing. Like I was into taekwondo, I did soccer for a bit, and those were like big parts of my life as a child. Like for taekwondo, that was like a huge thing. I kept begging my parents. I'm like, oh, I want to do karate or taekwondo or some sort of martial arts, and they never wanted to because they thought it was dangerous. And then they finally let me when I was like 11, and so that was like a big thing for me. And I worked really hard in taekwondo, and I got to like a level where I was like proud, like really proud of myself with, and I was doing competitions and all that. And then as soon as all my friends and like family started quitting, because I was also with my cousins, as soon as they quit, I was like, oh, maybe I should quit too. I kind of just went with what the crowd was doing, and I think that was like something I'm really disappointed in myself for. Just like I was like 4 years down the drain just because a few of my friends aren't doing it. So that kind of stuck with me and kind of made me realize that like you really can't just follow what the crowd is doing. And same with soccer. Like I did soccer for one season in rep, and we didn't do too well. So that kind of like bummed me, and I thought, oh, maybe this isn't for me. And then I just stopped rep. I thought I could still do soccer and come back, but because I stopped rep, I just kind of, because taking that step back, I kind of just kept going and then just stopped altogether. So I think as a child, my biggest struggle was like learning to continue something and not letting external sources stop me, you know? So that was something that I think because of all that brought me to filmmaking, because now it's like the biggest thing with filmmaking is, oh, people are going to bully me if I make a bad film. People are going to make fun of me if I do something weird. But like, because I learned that I can't just go with what the crowd is saying, like now I'm just like, okay, I need to do what I want to do, you know?
Yeah.
So just
You're
take
more
the
focused.
chance. Exactly, yeah.
It's funny that you say that Taekwondo thing because it's actually the opposite for me. So my mom and dad put me in Taekwondo when I was really young.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe 5 or 6 or 7, around that age.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I started Taekwondo. You know, it kind of like early on, I never really liked to go to it. Like I just didn't find it fun, and there were some classes that I liked when we did like sparring and pad work,
Mm-hmm.
and then when we did like yeah, that kind of stuff, and I didn't really like it at first, throughout like my early years, and then I got to a point where I started like soccer more, and I wanted to become a soccer player, so I tried to convince my parents to like kind of like drop me from Taekwondo so I can actually focus on soccer,
Okay.
And
Yeah.
eventually they agreed. I just got to a certain age where like in high school, that's when I stopped, my first year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because like when I was younger, I even used to stall. I used to stall in terms of like eating my food and eating my meal because I didn't want to go to Taekwondo. Because my mom would come home from work, and then
Uh-huh.
she'd be like, "Okay, it's time to go to like we'd eat dinner." She'd make dinner, and then we go to Taekwondo. Sometimes I'd just slowly eat my dinner beforehand and just not try to like stall. But then when I got
Right.
into soccer, I honestly I realized that even though I didn't like it, Taekwondo did really build my, like as a kid, it built my work ethic. It kind of built my athleticism because we would do push-ups,
Mm-hmm.
sit-ups, all that stuff all the time, and it'd suck, but like over those years, it actually built like a lot of strength in my body.
Right.
So I don't regret going to Taekwondo after all these years, but I just remember not liking it all that
Yeah.
much. So it's kind of funny.
I think extracurriculars in general are very important for kids
Mhm.
because like it really does develop your mind and like get you in the right mindset for the future. Like if it weren't for
Mhm.
taekwondo and stuff, like I don't think I'd have like the willpower and stuff I have now, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
took it to a whole nother level with soccer, but it still developed my work ethic because I love to
Right.
do I really like to do it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Have you ever felt like you had any like failures moments with film?
I mean, sometimes I always say not to look at the numbers in terms of how many
Mm-hmm.
views and how many likes we kind of get on YouTube and Instagram and all those platforms. It's hard not to look at the views and the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes it kind of gets to me, and I'm like, man, I make these such high quality videos, and I'm only getting maybe like a good 60 views per
Mm-hmm.
video when I have like almost 800 subscribers now. The ratio just doesn't really make a lot it
Yeah.
doesn't like really fit because I've been kind of stuck at the same amount of views for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of get down sometimes, like I kind of
Yeah.
compare myself to like you or to other people, and
Right.
then I just like, I don't know, sometimes I get a lot of anxiety, and I wonder like, is it even worth doing? Like, Look, I love filmmaking, and it's
Mm-hmm.
what I want to do for the rest of my life. But like I always have these kind of like just brief moments of like doubt that I can do it. It's
Yeah,
just natural to
yeah.
have. Everyone has it. You know,
No,
you
yeah,
could be
for
the
sure.
most successful and the most like the best at something, but everyone's gonna have these little kind of doubts and stuff.
Exactly,
I
yeah.
just gotta kind of like remind myself, like just to keep going and persevere through it because it's just a moment in time out of all these other good moments.
Yeah.
And
Especially with filmmaking, because like, as filmmakers, we're perfectionists. We're
oh yeah,
supposed
no.
to be perfectionists. So
Mhm.
like, one small thing, we get upset. Like, I get upset too, obviously.
Yeah, I get worked up after over like little things in editing and filming. I'm like, oh, man, I should have done this. This
Yeah,
audio
yeah.
sounds whack. I should have rewritten the script. And it kind of just like beats on my brain
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously, you know. And I just kind of think about it. And when something doesn't do well, like when I really put a lot of effort into a video and it just doesn't perform the best that I thought it would, I get kind of, it sucks. I put all this
Yeah.
effort into something and it doesn't work. But I just try to keep reminding myself, look, it's going to happen. You're human. You got to push through. And even in December, I started a project, a short film called Sad Santa. Had a lot of complications with it. Just wasn't planned properly. It's hard to get people out with people's schedules and COVID and all that stuff. And halfway through filming, I just kind of I broke down and I kind of gave up on it. And like because I realized I wasn't getting I was trying to get it out before Christmas too, and I just wasn't enough time. And you know my friends aren't necessarily actors, so they're not going to memorize their lines. I put too much expectation on them and on myself for preparing things. And you know it was just supposed to be something to have fun with, but I'm just became too much of a perfectionist because I wanted it to be like top notch. I want all the
Yeah.
lighting to be great. I wanted to just be a perfectionist in that sense, but
Mm-hmm.
it didn't end up working out. Um, and I took a break after, just to reframe my mind.
Right.
But those are the things I have to learn from. And honestly, I'm glad that I failed in that sense. I'm glad I messed that up because now I know, okay, if you're gonna make something that you think is gonna be at a profession or at a certain quality, okay, you need to schedule it properly. You need to make sure you got people who will come on time. You
Exactly,
gotta
yeah.
plan stuff out. You gotta have gear ready, all that stuff. So that's
Right.
at least I know that now, and I'm happy that I failed in order to learn.
Get that knowledge. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Hmm.
Yeah, with filmmaking especially, I think once I started, I never really considered any of the downfalls to be failures, but I would say my biggest failure involving film was not starting earlier.
Mm.
Like, my biggest, like, I had fears, obviously, of, oh, this, that, not, I don't know what to do, I don't know this, that. But now when I film, like, I'm telling you, like, I don't know much as, like, most people probably do, but I still do it anyways, because I have a story in mind. So I
Yeah.
think that was, like, once I learned that if you have a story, just tell it. Like that, once I had that mindset, that's when I started to, like, ignore those, like, insecurities and all that, like, fear.
Yeah.
And then I think that's what
Yeah.
kind of brought me back.
Yeah. Honestly, but you just gotta start. Like
Exactly.
that's like it. Look, you can think about like I want it to be this and I want it to be that. I need to get it to this quality. But at the end of the day, like, and you're gonna have fears. You're gonna be fearing failure. Like, what if it doesn't work out? What if it this? Like, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. Like, you gotta like take all that off your mind. And you just gotta start, dude.
Yeah.
Like the first step is to start, and
No, that's
then you
true.
figure it out from there. You know,
Right. Right.
it's just so many people have so many things they want to do, but they're scared, and they look up and they see this giant staircase in front of them, and you can't look up like it's gonna be scary when you're looking up at this giant staircase, but just focus your eyes on that first step, and take one step, and then another, and then another, and then another, and you keep going up and up and up, and eventually you're at the top.
Exactly.
You know, it's gonna be scary, of course, like everything. Like I was scared to make YouTube videos. I was scared to film. You know,
Mhm.
I was like, if you watch one of my first YouTube videos, I sound so unnatural. It sounds so awkward, and I look back and I cringe on it. But I'm happy that I put myself out there early on and
Yeah.
started, and now I can talk fluently to the camera. I'm not nervous anymore when I talk. I
Right.
can go in public and just vlog and do my thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just gotta start.
Starting is probably the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
With film though, like I think I've put like too much of my attention to film, so now nothing else kind of like worries me, and that's somewhat a bad thing. Like I can even like have like a test, and I would do really bad on a test, and I'll be like, hey, it's fine, I don't care. But I do bad on like a film, or like I am not proud of a film, and that stresses me out even more, even though it's just gonna be like an Instagram video or something.
Mm-hmm.
So like it definitely like changes your priorities now, like in a big way.
Yeah, you know what? I know what you mean. Like, look, I'm very confident in myself and my abilities and my future to become a filmmaker. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about school, it's funny because, look, I've never kind of been one to put a ton of effort into school. You know, I've always been like an average student, B student,
Right.
and just getting average marks, and that's all I need.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, I don't put my focus and attention on that stuff too much, because I'm really focusing on my filmmaking career, honestly. You know, not to say that I'm not going to try in school, because, you know, of course, my parents want me to do good in school and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I do try when I need to, but I just don't put in the extra effort when it comes to school, because I'm putting in that other time and prioritizing my filming a bit more. But yeah, not to say that early on in school I didn't compare marks, like, as I did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get a test back and I'd be like, gosh, shit, I thought I was really good at this topic, and this person just somehow outperforms me all the time.
Yeah.
I kind of get down like, crap. But I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Like, in the long run, this isn't gonna matter. Like in a day from now, and you know, in a year from now, it's not gonna matter.
Exactly.
And I have something that I am good at, which is filmmaking. You know, cinematography.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at that. So let me put my focus and attention on that stuff, rather than, you know, getting a bad mark or whatnot. You know.
Exactly.
You know, I get a bad mark, get a C. Damn, it sucks. You know, I'm gonna try to work towards getting a better one next time, but I don't want to be too down, because you know what, I have something that I am good at.
Exactly. Like you can get a C on a test, and what, no one's gonna see that test in like 5 years. That test is gonna be like invisible in like 5 years. But you make a short film now and you do like a great job at it, someone's gonna see that, and then that's gonna cause a snowball effect and take you to like much higher places.
But then again, if you fail in your short film early on, that's not gonna matter either. You know, in a couple of 5 years. You know,
that's true.
Like, it matters in the moment, of course, and you know, but at least you started. Like we were talking about before, you started and you put yourself out there, and you just work your way up. You're always gonna continue to improve. Like the more practice, the better you improve. Like that's just a fact.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With filmmaking, do you think you have anyone that you like tried like to get their validation, like that one person that you want to keep proud? Do you have someone like that?
Yeah. Everyone that has contributed to me and invested in their time in me, honestly. I think about this a lot, actually. So my dad is also a videographer, and, you know, he helped me to buy cameras and lenses and all this. He has all this gear and stuff. You know, my mom has always believed in me. You know, once she heard that I wanted to do filmmaking, she's like, I believe in you, you should do it. You know, go all out. Even my grandparents have been super supportive. My friends have been super supportive. Everyone's been supportive. and it kind of gets to me sometimes because I feel like I have this weight not to fail. Because, like, if I do fail, then all of this was for nothing. All this time that people put into me was for nothing.
Yeah.
Shit, like, I get scared sometimes because, you know, there's a lot of people, you know, that believe in me, and I can't mess up. And, you know, I don't, honestly, sometimes I don't want to seem, like, spoiled either because I have all this equipment and all this gear, and I need to do something with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It definitely rides on my mind a lot. And, yeah, now that you talk about it, because, yeah, I do feel this weight on my shoulders sometimes, you know, to prove to myself and to prove to everyone that I can reach the highest level, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel this way also that I have, you know, people in the future, people that I don't even know yet, depending on me, you know?
Yeah.
I do feel like every piece of content I put out, I want to, and I want someone to look at it and, you know, be inspired. And
Mm-hmm.
those people, even in the future, are relying on me. And I just have this need to contribute, always have. And, you know, I don't want to fail, you know? Like,
Right.
it sucks. Like, in the long game, I don't want to fail. In the short term, I can fail. I don't mind like failing in the short term, but in the long term, I can't. There's just too many people that believe in me, and honestly, it gets to me. But I know within my heart that if I keep doing it, I keep my head down, I focus, I'll be okay, and I'll end up where I need to be, for sure.
It's funny how you mentioned that you have all this equipment and sometimes you feel spoiled. In my opinion, I think equipment can be easily obtained. You have money, you can get equipment, but the true skill comes from knowing how to use it, you know? Like anyone can get a big beefy camera like ours and then say they have it, but it's how you use it that matters. So I think you shouldn't consider yourself spoiled. You should consider yourself talented for knowing how to use it, you know? Because those are some high-end stuff.
Yeah, I just get worried, you know, like I'm not putting it to its potential use. But
Mm-hmm.
every day, I of course, I try, and I want to
Yeah.
put all this equipment to its potential use, and I want to use it the best ability I can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every day I go out and I try, and I continue to do it. But, like,
it's just a learning process with it.
Yeah, it's just a learning process, of course. Like, and I feel like I do put a good use to my equipment right now, you know?
Yeah, for
That
sure.
just sometimes that thought just seeps into the back of my mind. I know it's not true, but it comes every so often, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, everyone that supports me is a huge impact on like me trying to be successful, of course. But in terms of like short-term success and short-term like failures that I consider, I would say it's like my team that matters the most. Like I've made short films that like you, me, and Liam obviously like knew everything about, but then like our friends would see it and they'll be like, oh, what the heck is this? They'll be so confused. But like success for me was when we finished editing and we were all like proud of what we had. We were like, okay, this is perfect. Like that's how I felt with Welcome.
The team was proud.
Yeah, as long as the team is happy, because everyone puts in work. That's like the biggest thing with filmmaking. It's a team effort. So as long as everyone is happy with what they did, and I'd say that's a successful project.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree. And honestly, I really felt that way when we finished Keegan Vr.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt happy when we finished that, and I felt even the happiest when we got everyone's responses from it.
You know,
we had a premiere here, and everyone was just like laughing and having a good time and watching it, and so that was like groundbreaking for me, and that really made me happy too. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, Keegan Vr was a big one because we didn't really expect it to be that way. We just thought it was going to be
we didn't expect it to be that way anyways. We just exactly.
It just exploded.
But it ended up being something great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most important projects we did just because it started everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went to
it definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah, snowball effect, honestly, from that point on. That's what it was.
Exactly, yeah. So now, moving away from our film careers a bit, have you felt like you've had any, like, personal relationship failures or anything of that sort?
Yeah, there's, yeah, I, so back in grade 10, I went through kind of like a weird kind of breakup, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sometimes off and on again, and it was tough on my brain and my mind and my heart even,
Right.
but honestly, from that experience and from that relationship, I I learned to value, the effort I put into someone else, not just romantic, but, relationships in general, with
Mm-hmm.
my friends and my family and stuff. You know, it's 100 and 100, it's not 50-50,
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I also learned to value the relationships I do have right now. You know, I learned from these failures and from these self-doubt talks and all that stuff, like I'm not good enough, is it me, like, am I the person that's wrong in the wrong here, all this stuff that goes through your mind. At the end of the day, it it's honestly, I just had to learn from it and realize, I deserve more than this, and
Yeah.
and I know how to hold myself at a certain value.
Right.
I know where I stand, and I just need to be straightforward and confident from now on. And it did working out in the end. I
Yeah.
ended up developing a lot more relationships, new ones, and ones from the past, and it developed my character a lot. I think so. I think it did for sure.
Right. The whole,
Yeah.
the whole like, you gotta learn to love yourself where you could love someone else. Like, I know it's a cliche and all,
Mm-hmm.
but it is very important to have
Yeah,
that, right?
honest. It is important. If you
Yeah.
can't take care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of someone else too?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? You gotta find that self love first. And
Mm-hmm.
it sometimes it comes and it goes. It's not a it comes and it goes sometimes. Sometimes you're down on yourself, but at the end of the day, you come back to that self love.
Exactly. Right.
Not to say that you're never gonna have doubt yourself, or you're not gonna be mad at yourself. Not to say that, but you always come back to this feeling of, I do love myself.
Yeah. Like when you
I think
said,
that's a thing.
yeah, like when you were saying the whole 100 thing, like, it's true. Like, you gotta give in the 100%, but if you don't know 100%, like, trust yourself and love yourself, how are you supposed to, right? Because if you're only 80,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna just use this person to fill that extra 20, and then you're dependent at
Mm-hmm.
that point, and you never want to be like
Mm-hmm.
dependent like that. You gotta
Yeah.
both be leaning on each
And
other rather than you on one.
yeah. Also, I learned a lot of forgiveness during that relationship and all these failures in between. I learned to forgive, because forgiveness is not necessarily for the other person, but it's also for yourself.
Yeah.
It's kind of saying, um, although I don't like what you did, I will not allow this to affect me anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And you're a human, you make mistakes, and that's okay. I wish you the best, learn from it, but I'm not going to allow this thing to affect me anymore. And honestly, when I learned forgiveness and when I learned to forgive a lot more, I felt so much more free with
Right.
myself. I'm not a person to hold grudges and not a person to hate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one in this world that I don't hate. Or not, there's no one person in this world that I hate.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone's human and they make mistakes, and I try to have empathy even for people that don't like me.
Right.
I'm not going to push back on the fact that this person calls me names and whatnot. I'll have empathy because clearly there's something wrong with that person's life, that they're not happy in some area of their life, and that they have to try to bring someone else down.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like this whole, like, screw the haters kind of thing. I don't really like it a lot. And like, because honestly, I think being kind and being empathetic and being forgiving to people is like the best way to go about it. Honestly, being a good person brings you good things. Like you don't go around trying to tear someone else's building down, and yours is the biggest. You try to just build your building the tallest. Just focus
sure.
on yours. Don't try to take someone else's down.
No, it's actually true. I just heard a quote actually saying, you play to win, not to make the opponent lose. That was like a really impactful quote for me. It's really true.
Yeah. Being a good person is always the best way to go, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Trying your best. And I say all this stuff. Look, I'm not a saint in any way. I make mistakes sometimes too. I might once in a while make fun of someone that's rude, and I might say things on the side, and sometimes everyone does gossip subconsciously, and but I try to, at the end of the day, I try to get back to this mind frame of, you know what, I forgive that person, and I don't want to talk about this way to this person anymore. I don't want to say bad things about people because I respect and care for everyone.
Yeah.
I just try to get back to that mind frame, That's state of mind, I should say.
That's good. Yeah. Holding grudges always sounds like, you see it in movies all the time. They always glorify holding grudges, like the way they seek revenge and all that. But honestly, that's not how reality is. If you learn to forgive, you have this huge weight lifted off yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're just free.
And getting back and getting revenge, it just, it might pleasure you for a bit of time, but long term, it's just not going to satisfy you the most.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I've learned, because, like, in the past, when I was younger, it's a perfect example with you,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like you the most. When we were younger, neither did both of us.
Yeah.
And there's other people in our grade that I didn't really like.
Right.
But I forgave them for whatever they might have done to me. They probably didn't just do anything. Maybe, like, they were better at me in soccer, and that's why I didn't like them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's stupid,
Yeah.
So I just try to learn to not think that way, and now I feel much better because of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. All right, everyone. So I think that wraps up this episode. Thank you all for listening. Go follow us on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the socials. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Hope you guys learn something from this and will take some sort of value from this. And we hope that we provide value to you guys.
For sure, yeah.
So with that, take care, guys. See you in the next one.
Awesome. Bye, guys.